Lesson 4.3 Creating Roofs. In this lesson you will learn how to create simple roofs, you'll learn how to edit roofs, and you'll learn how to create complex roofs. Back to Vectorworks. It's time for us to create our roof. Now you might notice I'm using my multiple view panes. If you've forgotten how to use those, it's this one here, multiple view panes. When you turn it on, you'll see your view panes, and if they don't appear exactly like mine, it might be because I've changed mine. So let's just go through what I've done, and I'll close all of those. Over here I can split this, so I'm going to split the first one vertically. I want to only have a small area over here just so I can keep an eye on my 3D model, and then here I'm going to split this horizontally. So I've got these three different views. I'd like this one to be an isometric view, so I'm just going to use my quick keyboard shortcut, which is number 3, and I'm going to fit to objects. This one I might leave in a top view because as we create the roof, we're going to create a new layer, and I want to see it here. We need something to create our roof. We can either create our roof from walls, or we can create our roof from polygons. If it's a small project, you could just select the 4 walls that you need, like I've got. Make sure they create a closed shape. If they don't create a closed shape, you'll get a funny looking roof. Don't forget you can also use the Select Similar tool. Click there, and it'll select all the things that are a similar object, and you can choose and edit these active settings. So for example, we could say we want to select things by their object type. We want to select things by their object and class. So I'm going to save this as well. So object and class. And maybe we want to select things just by their class, so we'll save that as well. When you have a look at my pull down menu now, you'll see that I've got object, class, or object and class. So if I choose object and class, click on that X outside wall, it just picks all of my existing walls. You notice it's left up my demolition and my proposed. You really don't have to worry about Vectorworks selecting the inside walls because it will look for a closed network. So it'll actually look for the outside walls. So we've got that. We can go to Landmark if we're using Landmark, or if we want to change to our Architect workspace, I'm going to choose Architect. We've got similar tools. Now in Landmark, you go to the Landmark workspace and then you look for Architectural. In the Architectural workspace, we just go to AEC and we'll find our roof command. So it's just up here, AEC, and it's called Create Roof. Now this Create Roof command needs to have something selected, either a polygon, which could be a rectangle, or it needs walls. So we can choose what kind of profile we want. Do we want a square profile for our eaves, a vertical profile, a horizontal profile, or something like this double one, which will put a fascia on there for you. I'm going to go to vertical for this example. So we've got a thickness here. We want this to be about 6 inches or 150 millimeters. The bearing inset, how far does this want to sit in here? If you remember, my walls are about 4 inches thick, so they will sit 4 inches thick. That's fine. If you want to have less, you can put 3 inches if you want. My roof pitch, I'm going to make 25 degrees, which is common where I live. The bearing height, now it should have measured the height of my walls. So it should have registered what my wall height was and put this into here. If it's different, you can change that. My eave overhang, where I live, at least 24 inches. And we want to place this on a layer called roof. So I'm going to create a new layer. We're going to call it roof. And there we are. So it's going to create a brand new layer for us. And we're going to retain our original objects. Sometimes I forget to turn this off and you lose all your walls. So just check this. So we're going to have an unstyled roof. I'm not going to look too much at my roof preferences because I'm not going to talk about styled roofs, and I'm not going to create accessories. Covering these 2 buttons is going to be in the Architect or the BIM Building Information Modeling course. Let's go OK on that. So there we are. So here you can see I've got my roof. I'm going to go on this particular view. I'm going back to my walls layer. There we are. On this view here, and if I just right click here, I want to change my visibilities. So in this view, I want to see my roof. And in this one, I want to see both. Now you might notice that as I turn my view, and I'm just using my keyboard shortcut, which is the Control key plus the middle mouse wheel button, my building's moving but not my roof. If I unify the view, then you'll notice that when I change my view, my roof changes as well. In this particular view, I've got grey others turned on. Let's make it show snap others, and let's make that a rendered view so we can actually see it. And there we are, so it's a rendered view. If I select this roof, you'll see I've got a blue handle at each major face. If I click on this one, I can make this one into a gable end. And if I click on this one, I can also make this one into a gable end. And by default, Vectorworks can put walls in for you. Here you can see it says show wall. This is a very quick, easy way to get your gable end walls in. So let's just say yes to all of those. And it's put gable end walls in for me. So as I turn the view around, you'll notice that I get gable ends at each, or gable walls at each end. So let's just turn that view around. And you can see the wall at each end. There we are. So there we are. We have the ability to create our roof. So you can either create roof from walls, or you can draw a polygon or a rectangle shape. Then go to AEC on the menu bar and choose Create Roof. And it brings up exactly the same dialog box. This time you wouldn't want to retain the original objects, and it creates another roof for you. So let's get rid of that roof because we don't need it. Let's have a look at this object here. This is our roof, and we want to maybe punch a quick hole in that roof. So we're going to go to our rectangle tool. We're going to draw a shape. For example, we might want to have a chimney in this area here. So I'll put the chimney in. I'm going to draw it there where it needs to go. So I just need to put it here. This might be some sort of square chimney shape thing. And we want that to punch a hole right through. So I'm going to use my Object Info palette to move that to my roof layer. So there you can see it now. You can see I've got both the roof and that rectangle selected. Right click, and I should be able to use Clip Surface. Now you should have covered Clip Surface when you did Chapter 3, Tools and Commands in Detail. So let's clip that surface and we'll delete, and that's actually made a little hole in my roof. You can see it here, and there's my hole, and there's a hole there. So this is a really effective way of making changes to your model. So I'm just going to undo that and get rid of my little rectangle. So let's delete that. Now you might notice the roof still looks like it's got a hole in it. That should disappear. So what I'd like to look at next is what we can do with our roof. So I'm going to change here to my roof layer because I need it on the big screen. I can click on this option here, and I can make this a bigger overhang. So here I'm going to make this about 6 feet. So it's got a large overhang. Now I just showed you how you can use this technique to punch a hole in it. Now if the hole is still there, I need to go to Modify on the menu bar, Edit Group, and I can now delete that rectangle. Let's exit the group, and that should have fixed the hole. So I still have that rectangle lying around, so I'll just delete it. So that's my object. If I draw a shape like this, so let's do that shape there. Let's make sure we line up with that point. Just touch it down to here. I need to make the shape slightly bigger. So I'll make sure it's bigger like that. Select my roof, right click, and Clip Surface. Now when I delete that, you'll see that it's changed the 3D model, and I now have a projecting or a ridge that goes out further than the eaves of the house. So if you want to get rid of that, select the roof, go back to Modify, we'll choose Edit Group, and delete that polygon. Exit the group, and it puts it back. So this is a way of adding or subtracting areas from your roof. I'd like to create another roof, so I'm just going to use rectangles for this one. And what I'd like to show you is what to do when the roof starts to become challenging. So in other words, how do we deal with complex roofs? Let's just add all those together and we'll make that into a roof. So let's go create roof. We're going to create a roof. I've got vertical edge and the height doesn't matter. But what I'd like to do is I'd like to start turning that one into a gable and this one into a gable. and sooner or later Vectorworks is going to complain. Make that one a gable. Make this one a gable. And if Vectorworks does start to misbehave or say that it's got too complex to create the roof, the technique is to carry on going. It's probably not going to fail for me today, but if it does, what you do is you just keep going. Let's make this one a gable. And I think this one's a gable. I'm not sure. That one's a gable. Let's just check that one. That one's an eave. Let's make that one a gable. And at this time it didn't complain. This one is still an eave. So one of the things I did want to show you is that you can use this roof to create what we call a monopitch roof, a single pitching roof. You can see it there, and it's a single slope roof, the entire roof sloping in a single way. So if Vectorworks complains, just carry on, but you can keep making gables until you end up with a monopitch roof. What to do if you've got a complex roof? So I'm going to create one roof going this way, and I want that to be just a little bit wide, and I want a shallower, smaller roof sticking into it, which is that one. What I've drawn are two different rectangles, and I'm going to turn these into two roofs. Now there are times where you've got a large roof, maybe an existing building and a proposed building. They have to come together. You might have to do them separately. One of my big techniques with a complex roof is what I call divide and conquer. That is, you break it up into small chunks and you do each one separately. Let's start with the first one. We'll select that rectangle, AEC on the menu bar, and we'll create our roof. So this will be a vertical edge, 6 inches thick, 25. Let's make this one 35 degrees, and I'll make the other one 25 degrees. So the bearing height is going to be about 10 feet, 3 meters, and the eave overhang 24 inches. So we're going to put this on the same layer as we were using before, put that on our roof layer, and OK. So there it is there. I'm just going to move my view across so we can see it. So there it is there. I want that to be a gable. Now on a Macintosh you can use the Command and the G key. On a Windows machine just hit G and that'll make that a gable. So again you have to go Command G on a Macintosh or just G and it'll activate the gable button. So there we are, we've got our first one. Let's create our second one, AEC, and we're going to go create roof again. This time it's 25 degrees and it's only a 9-foot bearing height, so 9.5 feet. There we are, and let's make that a gable. And it doesn't matter which end you do this from, so you can actually select this from any of these different views, and this one a gable as well. So what I'd like to know is I'd like to know where this roof penetrates that one. I'm going to change this roof to a red color and this roof to a blue color. So just the line I'm going to make blue. And the reason I'm doing that is when I select these two, I can go to modify on the menu bar and I can use convert copy to lines. Make sure you use the copy version. When it finishes, Vectorworks creates a group. This is a group of lines. If I double click on the edge of this group, you'll see that I'm inside the group. There are some quick preferences I use quite often up here. There's one here called Show Objects While in Edit Modes. That's this one here with the eyeball. If I click on that, you'll see I can't see anything outside my group. If I turn it on again, you'll see I can see everything outside, but it's grey. So this is my object. Let's just have a look here. So this face here is my roof, and that roof needs to be subtracted away from this part. So let's use my polygon tool, use it with the paint pot mode, the inner boundary mode, click, hold the shift key down, click again. Now I need these two bits, these two polygons. So select them both, right click and copy. Let's exit our group, and then you can delete the group because it's done its job. I've got this roof object here, and I'm going to paste in place. Edit on the menu bar, paste in place. So there are my two objects. Now this object and this one can be subtracted from the other roof. So let's select that one first and this roof, and we'll go right click, clip surface, and then delete. And so that should have taken, let's just change this view here a little bit, that should have actually taken a part away. So I'm just going to use my flyover tool, change to that mode there, and let's just have a look underneath. So let's just have a look, there it is there, and you can see it's taken away this part of the roof. There's a little piece in there that's just been taken away. So let's just leave that there so we can see it. Now we've got a polygon here, and we've got a roof. So select them both, right click, clip surface, and we'll delete that polygon, and you'll see what's happened. It's taken that part of the roof away. So I've still got my roof, but it's actually clipped a large part of that away. So now you can see it's a great way of joining the roofs together, and that's a way of making a complex roof. This is the end of lesson 4.3. In this lesson you learned how to create simple roofs, you learned how to edit roofs, you learned how to create complex roofs.